Welcome to my top 10 Christmas albums. I'm just gonna go right ahead because we have to plow through 10 albums. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna let you know the albums. I'm gonna suggest some of the songs that you should go listen to. I highly suggest you take a listen to all the albums that I suggest on this list. If you haven't heard the album before, you definitely should check it out. And then let me know what your favorites are. Honorary mention to Nat King Cole. His album is The Magic of Christmas. It's absolutely wonderful. If you like an old school vibe in terms of a Christmas album, I would definitely suggest that. At number 10, I have Ella Wishes You a Swingin' Christmas by Ella Fitzgerald. It was released 1960. The album cover is just right there. There are 3 songs on the list that I would highly encourage you to check out. Of course, listen to the entire album, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few songs off of each album that you can just go snippet to. I'll also link below a playlist of all the songs that I feel would be perfect for you to kind of just siphon through. So the first one is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, A Sleigh Ride, and Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. It's a great album, classic jazz feel. If you like albums where you can kind of just place it in the background and still enjoy what you're listening to, this is the perfect album. That's why it's my number 10 pick. Number 9, Christmas with the Beach Boys. It was later retitled the Beach Boys Christmas album. This album by the Beach Boys was released 1964. There's like the classic Beach Boys sound with the Little Saint Nick, Merry Christmas Baby, but then like the third song that I would suggest that you listen to, the We Three Kings of Orient are, is a very different sound that I happen to enjoy that they have produced on this album. So if you like the Beach Boys, if you have never heard of the Beach Boys, I would clearly recommend that you listen to this album. It's a great album. I like my number 10 suggestion where you can listen to it with your friends and they'll kind of recognize a few of the songs on there. That's my number 9. Number 8 on this list is actually a compilation album. Technically, it's a little bit of a cheat, but I'm gonna allow it. The album itself is called A Christmas Gift for You from Phil Spector. It has a variety of artists on there, from Darlene Love to the Ronettes. It was released 1963. As you can see, there's a kind of a trend where I've picked some albums from the 60s. The 60s just has a classic sound for Christmas, and with the number 8 pick, it completely shifts the way that I've enjoyed the Christmas songs so far. Like the first 2 picks were very jazz and upbeat, whereas we're now moving more towards like a rock infused Christmas stylings, where you have Frosty the Snowman, which the Ronettes did on that album. You have Winter Wonderland, which Darlene Love did on that album, and then Christmas, Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love as well. That song will be featured later by another artist on their album, one of the most highly acclaimed albums. But I feel like this version is also has its merit as well. It's very lovely. Love the album. It's very, like, in terms of the sound, like if you put it in a huge room, you'll hear the boom. It's quite fantastic. So for number 8, I definitely recommend you listen. Number 7 on our list is actually a album that was released in the 90s. So we're moving 30 years into the future. It was released 1998. It's by NSYNC. It's Home for Christmas. A lot of people are very familiar with a few tracks off of that album. Of course, notably Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, but I would highly suggest you listen to their rendition of Oh Holy Night. It's an a cappella track, quite lovely. And then of course, their Christmas/New Year's track, Kiss Me at Midnight. I love the song. The track is very NSYNC, mid to late 90s feel. If you like NSYNC and you've never heard this album, what's wrong with you? And if you do like just great vocals, great production, and a Christmas vibe, I would definitely suggest you listen to Home for the Holidays by NSYNC. I meant Home for Christmas by NSYNC. Number 6, we're now moving into our modern classic feel. I could have put any person on here. I could have put Matt Dusk, I could have put Frank Sinatra, but I'm gonna put Mr. Buble himself, Michael Buble, his album Christmas. It was released 2011. It has one of the most classic Christmas feels in terms of like from start to finish. You can just listen to the entire album and it just flows so seamlessly from track 1 all the way to the last track. The 3 tracks I would highly suggest that you do take some time to listen to. Definitely it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It's the first track of the album and it just sets the tone of the entire album. Jingle Bells, it has a feature on it. It's fantastic feature. The one thing I do love about Michael Buble is he can carry a track on his own, but when he does have features, the features really do mesh together and they collaborate in such a great way that not only makes them sound great, but it also makes the track sound great as well. And then finally, I'll Be Home for Christmas. It's just Michael Buble doing his Buble-est of Buble things on a track, just killing it with his vocals and the musicianship. It's astonishing how he can make a Christmas song feel so homey. Like, cause sometimes when you sing Christmas songs, they feel more carol-y and they feel a little disjointed and they don't feel like you can like listen to them at any point in time. But the one thing I do love about Michael Buble is that when he does sing, he makes you feel like you are at home. And that's why I have him at number 6. Okay, we are now in the top 5 of my favorite Christmas albums. Number 5, we're going back to the 60s. You can clearly tell that I have a fondness for Christmas 60s sounding music. We are going with the instant classic Charlie Brown Christmas by the Vince G Trio. I never know how to say his last name, so I just call him Vince G. In terms of selection, there's so many things that you can pick from this album. I couldn't pick 3. I actually picked 4 songs on here. Personally, I love Christmas Time Is Here, the vocal track. There is a instrumental track by itself, but I think the vocal track, it's just so complete. Linus and Lucy, of course. Skating is a great track as well, and Christmas Is Coming is probably one of my favorite tracks on that album. If you haven't seen a Charlie Brown Christmas, what's wrong with you? Yes, it might be a little dated, but I do feel it's a great Christmas movie on its own. Didn't make my top 5, of course, if you saw the last video, but I think that this album is definitely top 5 when it comes to Christmas albums. It's on my list, and we'll see in the comments if it's on yours. Number 4 on this list is Merry Christmas by Mariah Carey. It was released mid-90s, 1994. I know, don't throw stones at me, don't throw the candy canes, don't throw the mistletoe at me. It should be number 1. But I have 3 other albums that I personally love more on this list. In terms of songs, if I was doing a top 10 Christmas songs of all time, All I Want for Christmas Is You is definitely on that like pinnacle of like number 1 songs. But in terms of a full album, I feel that it's not in the top 3. There are some great songs like All I Want for Christmas Is You, the way that she does Christmas, Baby Please Come Home. As I was mentioning before, Darnley Love did one in the 60s. I feel that Mariah Carey's is just a touch better. And then of course she does a great rendition of Silent Night and a little bit of a curveball. She does Jesus, Oh What a Wonderful Child. That's a very like vintage gospel vibe on it. I never expected that on the album because I've never fully listened to the album until a few months ago, and then I was like, wow, this really is interesting. Not interesting enough to crack the top 3. Okay, now that we've all calmed down, number 3 is the Jackson 5 Christmas album. Do you feel better now? Can you breathe? It's by the Jackson 5. It was released 1970. There are some classic songs on there. Of course, Santa Is Coming to Town, Frosty the Snowman, The Little Drummer Boy, and I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus with the kissing Santa Claus. Like, it's That album, this is why it's hard to do these Christmas lists, because that album I feel is so much better than Mariah Carey's whole album. Like that one track alone is it just feels so Christmas to me. Like when you're like running down the stairs and you're opening up your gifts, like I can just imagine in my head like, I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. So much more than any track off of her album. Y'all can hate me in the comments, but I feel like that album is definitely it's a smash for sure. So definitely go listen to the Jackson 5 Christmas album by the Jackson 5. It's my number 3. Okay, when it comes to this list being my personal list, number 1, obviously, most people aren't gonna know, but number 2, I feel like everyone is either gonna hate or love this pick. Number 2 is Under the Mistletoe by Justin Bieber. It is a bump. It is a smash. That album kicks, it bumps, it goes hard. There are so many tracks that you can I love every track on that album. I will listen to that album probably until I'm 95. It is a great Christmas album. If you have never heard that album, go listen to it right now. It was released 2011. It's a recent one. It was released almost 8 years ago. It's not that old in comparison to some of the other stuff that I have recommended. If you have never listened to it, go listen to Mistletoe. You've definitely heard Mistletoe on the radio. Fa La 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 with Boys to Men on the track. They also released later on in the album an a cappella one where they are just singing by themselves. It's absolutely fantastic. And of course, Home This Christmas, they slow it down a little bit with the band Perry. It's a great album. If you haven't heard the Justin Bieber album, you're sorely missing out, and you're not going to miss out anymore because I just told you about it, and it will be in the playlist below, so check it out. My number 1 Christmas album, my personal number 1 Christmas album, is Lowborn King by The Modern Post. If you've never heard of that band, you might have heard of Dustin Kensrue. He's the lead singer for Thrice. He had a side project. It's technically not a full album, but I'm going to count it. It was 5 tracks, and I love all 5 tracks. But if I'm going to only choose 4 that you should recommend listening to, of course, the one top song you should go listen to, of course, is Angels We Have Heard on High. It's the first track. The way that they've slightly shifted some of the songs just to be a little bit more them. If you've ever heard Thrice or The Modern Post, they're more rocky, but they can be a little upbeat as well. Angels We've Heard of on High is a great track. This Is War is a banger. I love that song. Child of Glory is great as well. What Child Is This is one of my favorite just chill songs, but This Is War is like one of those songs when I'm just like, I just want to bang, but I'm like, is this a Christmas song? Am I like bumping to a Christmas song right now? That is how I feel when I listen to this album. So that is my top 10 personal Christmas albums that I personally enjoy. What is your top 10? If you don't have a top 10, let me know in the comment below, even if it's just 5 albums. Listen, go back, listen to your Christmas playlist, find 5 albums that you like, and drop it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. It's a few days before Christmas, so I'll just bless you guys with my playlist down low. You can listen to it before Christmas and after Christmas, because unlike you or some people out there, I actually still listen to Christmas music up until the 31st of December, and then when it's the new year, we could switch to non-Christmas stuff. Like this video, subscribe, comment below anything that you have enjoyed or disliked. I know some of you are going to come for me in the comments about Mariah Carey, but you know what? She's on the list. She's top 4. She's not top 3. It's fine. I'll see you guys next week, and if I don't see you before New Year's, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and enjoy.